Hi everybody, Zach Reinhardt here, reviewing the Gazette's new album, Dogma. The Gazette is a Visual Kei style rock and metal band from the Kanagawa prefecture of Japan. This is their 8th studio album since their formation in 2002. Visual Kei, for those who don't know, is a flashy and often androgynous fashion style that formed in the early to mid 80s in Japan's underground rock scene. While it's not necessarily a music genre, a lot of the heavyweights in Visual Kei are hard rock and metal bands, the Gazette included. Now, leading up to this album, I was expecting just very typical Visual Kei, which is to say I was expecting some metal, maybe an acoustic ballad or two, some poppy rock, kind of danceable stuff maybe mixed in there somewhere. But that's not quite what I got with this album. The Gazette here has deserted some of their more diverse and accessible sounds that made their earlier albums so dynamic in favor of just piling on more and more metal. In the past, for every hard hitting, animalistic metal song that the Gazette put out, like Ogre and like Filth and the Beauty, there was a ballad like Cassis, or some silly pop rock tune like Silly God Disco. And that made all of their past albums very dynamic and diverse sound wise. But I cannot say the same for this album. In Dogma, there is a thick, guttural, distorted guitar tone that makes an appearance on every single song on this album and starts to leave the songs sounding very samey by the end of the album. I think the album starts off strong with Dogma, the title track. It's got a great chorus. It's got some good jams. It's got a fun breakdown in it. It's even got like creepy whispers and harpsichord, everything you'd want from a Gazette song. And the next few songs are somewhat similar, but after a while, this guitar tone that's been coming back and back again for more on every song starts to grate on my nerves a little. It just makes the songs all start to sound the same. And I think there are some great tracks on this album, and there's some great ideas, but the production is not very varied, and the album is left kind of lukewarm, in my opinion, which is kind of disappointing because these guys were one of the best Visual Kei bands out there for a while. Their 2009 album, Dim, is a great example of good Visual Kei music. And it was kind of disappointing to see them turn this road. I do think there are some great tracks, and I think there's still some solid songwriting. For instance, the closer, coming in at a whopping 5 minutes, the longest track, is a pretty diverse track. It's got some kind of ethereal, hang in the air kind of guitars, but it's also got like a big metal chuggy breakdown in it, and it goes over well. But there are a few songs on here that I think you could have gotten rid of like 4 songs on this album, and it would have been just as good, if not maybe a little bit better. There are a few songs like Paralysis and Incubus and bizarre that all just sound like the same song almost. I can't remember which song it was, but there's one song that ends with like this metal like groove breakdown kind of thing, and it goes into the intro of the next song, which is the exact same guitar tone playing an almost identical riff. It's like slightly different. And the drums just kind of fall in the background on this album as well. Ruki still is a very dynamic and good vocalist. He has a very operatic quality to his voice, and he has these like gut-wrenching screams. And on a few songs, they do like this really low, like grumbly voice with this like whispers on top of it, which just sounds creepy as hell and is awesome. But overall, while the album starts out strong, it really starts to peter out around 6 tracks in. And it doesn't pick back up until track 10 was all right. And the closer, Ominous, was good. But overall, it just starts to feel a little bit samey. And it doesn't have the diversity and the dynamics that earlier Gazette albums do. So overall, I think it's maybe a 6.5 out of 10. Pick it up if you're looking for more Gazette. If you're an old-time fan like I am, I think it's worth a listen. But it is not going to be going down as one of the greats of Visual K.